Proud supporters of Africa this week. Engine, with us, you are number one.
Now, an estimated 73% of South Africa's working population is employed by firms with less than 50 employees. A newly launched SME Growth Index will monitor the characteristics, performance and other factors associated with successful businesses. Chris Darrell, Executive Director of business environment solutions firm SBP, explained the new index.
Difficult to say, particularly in South Africa, because we don't have very reliable statistics. But yes, they are definitely. As you've just quoted, one of the researchers that have come out of Treasury, which basically stipulates, you know, that 70% of all our hiring really takes place in firms less than employing less than 50 employees. But one of the recent stats that have come out, particularly from a Treasury perspective, is that there are about 1 to 3 million small firms operating in South Africa. But the vast majority of these are micro and survivalists. There's a very narrow band of small firms that actually are the employment generating growth potential small firms. And we're looking at about 200 to 650,000 small firms.
How can we measure that element of the SME being the differentiator? And I'm talking about the contribution in general of SMEs to GDP in the economy, because the productivity is what would determine the contribution.
Absolutely. Well, just on that narrow band, Treasury estimate that they contribute upwards of 50% to our GDP. And of course in Africa, you know, there's a missing middle that we talk about in terms of these value add small firms that exist. So there's a lot of micro, there are a lot of survivalist enterprises, and then there's obviously a few large corporates in the broader African economy, and then of course they've got this big missing middle, and that's the area that the SME Growth Index is going to hone in on.
Tell us more about the SME Growth Index and how it's going to go about the methodology of measuring whether or not SMEs do provide growth and jobs.
Well, it's exciting. It's going to be labour intensive. But essentially the SME Growth Index is going to focus on a panel of 500 small firms, those that employ between 10 to 49 employees, and are either in the manufacturing or business services sector. And we're going to monitor and measure and work with these SMEs on both a quantitative and a qualitative data. So we're going to be surfacing a lot of information that essentially makes what makes these SMEs tick over a period of several years. So we're going to be looking at the same business and the same business owner over a period of several years on a very structured instrument, both from a qualitative and a quantitative perspective. And the type of things that we're going to be looking at are issues around, for example, what are the internal characteristics and attributes of these small firms and business owners, but also how do they react to the environment, the regulatory environment, how does the labour laws, red tape impact on them.
Now, two of South Africa's leading black-owned accounting firms, Sizwe and Luba, VSP and Gobodo Incorporated, have merged to create a new model for economic transformation. Nonkululeko Gobodo, Executive Chair of the new firm, Sizwe and Luba and Gobodo, joins us in the studio.
It had become critical for us to merge because the landscape was changing, the big four firms have transformed. Wherever we go now, we have lost the edge of being a black firm. So we decided that we have to match. We had been talking over the years, you know, as we've developed from small businesses to medium-sized businesses, we needed to do something and go to the next level. And also it had always been our vision to develop a big black accounting firm. And we believe that we had the maturity now as organizations and as black leaders to be able to do this and sustain it.
Bringing these two entities together not only brings a critical mass of accounting brain, but some money power. What is the value of the new company?
Yes, the fees of the new company are over 400 million. That puts us below the big four, so we're actually number 5 in terms of revenue. And we have staff of over 800, you know, so we have the capacity now to actually grow and become very big.
What do you make of people who'd look at the two accounting firms and say, great, you're aspiring to be a big accounting firm, but ultimately you're still two transformation, empowerment companies that have come together?
What is actually exciting about this transaction is that we are taking two indigenous black firms who started here in South Africa 25 years ago, who have grown, you know, over the years to be where we are now, to be able to do this transaction. We are actually ushering in a new era of black economic empowerment, because we are taking black professionals who have grown their own businesses to form a company that is operational, being operated by the actual owners of the business. So it's not a transaction, it's not putting together two transactions and buying a percentage of this company. It's actually operational, which is what we need to see.
Okay, you talk about being number 5 in a market that is dominated by the big 4, KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, and others. How are you going to compete against them?
Yes, we always have to find our niche. And we've been competing with them over the years. And I believe now when we put together this, we deal with the skeptics about capacity. You know, we always have to answer those questions. Now, when we have the capacity, we're able to really challenge them. And we are going to look at key service areas like internal audit, for instance. We are almost leading in terms of the public sector in internal audit. With these two firms now together, we're really just going to lead there. And it opens opportunities for public enterprises to actually give us more of those audits. So they're really going to feel the pinch.
The kinds of things that you need to do to innovate, I don't even know why I'm asking a question like this. I wouldn't assume accountants can innovate. Do you?
Yes, we always have to innovate all the time. And the nice thing about this firm is that we are going to be able to invite into the firm new skills, because without new skills you cannot innovate, which we've not been able to do very well, because we're always competing with the big 4. But now we're going to be a home to black professionals who have been trained in the industry for many years, and therefore we're really excited that for the first time we will innovate. And also opportunities, you know, to go international and things like that, which will give us the strength that we need.
Now, the international focus on ongoing general elections in Nigeria reflects the importance of the country in global and regional business. To examine what the polls mean for regional dynamics, Wole Famurewa spoke to Edu Ukpong, partner at Consolex Legal Practitioners.
My thought was, what happened last Saturday was a relief for all of us. A relief in the sense that the week before that, there was the disappointment. The elections did not hold. And there were all kinds of bad thoughts in the air. So what happened last Saturday, like you pointed out, wasn't a perfect election, but it was a relief for everybody, and it was generally credible. I mean, there were pockets of problems here and there, but on the whole, it was a good election. My expectations for this week, I think INEC has shown that it's learning by the day. So I expect the elections of this Saturday to be an improvement of the parliamentary one of last week. Having said that, yes, the turnout is expected to be more, but I'm not sure it's going to be that much more.
So it's not necessarily a bigger logistical challenge in your view?
I even think it is less, because last week we voted for 2 candidates. So 2 papers, 2 thumbprints and all that. But this week is going to be just 1. And I think INEC must have learned how to transport the materials to the different places in good time.
Well, we'll wait and see. But of course, the whole world is looking at these elections. I mean, perhaps even just for the oil price, because Nigeria being the 6th largest exporter from OPEC, anything that happens here has a strong bearing on the oil price. With the Niger Delta situation being fairly calm over the last 18 months, how critical are these elections in the context of peace in the Niger Delta and, of course, Nigeria's oil production?
Oh, huge. To me, it's like the country has been in a state of probation. The prices, every investment decision to do with us has been dependent. Let's wait and see how the elections go. So to the extent that some confidence is being built into it, and confidence is what you need to bring in investment and to sustain what you already have. So, and the Niger Delta situation has no doubt not been helped by bad governance. And I hold the view that the bad governance we've been having for several years has been because the elections have not been credible. When the elections are not good, the people you get who assume power do not owe the electorate anything. But now I think even the politician is beginning to see that, look, if I want to get re-elected, I need to please the people. I'm not sure that has always been the case.